For the first time in the history of the Exam Room podcast, we are talking about alopecia, and man, do we have a story today. Twin brothers, Jeremy and Jordan Allen from All Love No Beef, have an incredible story of overcoming alopecia through a dietary change. This is going to be an fascinating half hour or so. So let's go ahead and bring my guys on right now. Gentlemen, good to see you. Thanks for being here.
Yes,
Yes, it's so good to see you as well, Chuck. Finally.
Guy,
it's
I
perfect
mean,
timing.
guys, you have to understand here that alopecia is something that a lot of us are aware of, but had no idea that there could be a dietary component to it. But let's get into your story and bring some hope to the people. You ready?
Absolutely.
Love
Uh,
it.
all right. So alopecia is something that I think it's more common than a lot of people realize. Matter of fact, looking at the statistics before I began talking to you, about 2% of people in the entire world will experience it at some point. 2%, not an enormous number, but certainly more than you would figure.
Yeah,
Did
It's a
you guys
lot.
kind of feel like you drew the short straw there?
It's crazy because I honestly had no clue that it was spreading so quickly. Um, However, it is something that I've definitely become more aware of since diving into this space. And I mean, it's everywhere. And a lot of people think that it's just this disease that's uncurable. But we are here to tell you the good news, to tell you that all love, no beef is here to rescue you.
yeah. And to follow with what he's saying, before we came out sharing our story around alopecia and having the ability to reverse alopecia, we hadn't heard too much about it. But then we had a lot of people reaching out to us saying, "Hey, I deal with alopecia, or I know people that do deal with alopecia. Can you send me over some recipes, some information, whatever it may be?" So that's where we really learned that alopecia is impacting a lot of people. And then with Jada Pinkett Smith, that whole situation, when that blew up, that really
That's a
opened
good
up the
point.
conversation around alopecia as well. So, um, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know if I wanted to drop that and, bring
You
that
know,
one
bring
back
that one
because, I
back.
mean, everybody was talking about that one for a minute. But how old were you guys? Well, first of all, who noticed it first? Who got it first?
I got alopecia first. I was in like the first grade, and my mom thought it was a wingworm. Yeah. Then we thought it was a form of eczema, and yeah, I was really young, and it would come, and then it would go away for a year, and then it would just pop up again, and then we just hope and pray that it went away, and then it would, and also apply all different types of creams for eczema and wingworm that weren't meant to be applied to alopecia. But yeah, it came and went for many years. And then I just remember the worst part. I was in high school at this point, and at this point, it had went away for like 3 years, and I thought it was done. I thought I was good. And then it was my senior year of high school, and it came back. And I just remember every single day wearing a hood on my head, and every single day, kids in my classes were like, "Yo, why do you wear a hood every day?" Teachers are wanting to know, "Hey, Jordan, why do you wear a hood in class every day?" I'm getting emails from my teachers telling me, asking me to stop wearing hoods in class. And I was just so embarrassed by it. And also just dealing with bullying, kids pulling down your hood and saying, "Hey, your barber effed you up," or "Your barber left a patch in your head." So it was just a lot of dealing with that for many years. And Jeremy wasn't dealing with it at all. It was only me. And then Jeremy ended up getting it
Yeah.
later in life.
So, yeah, to answer your question, Jordan got alopecia early on first. I didn't really know alopecia was. We didn't know it was alopecia. Again, my mom thought it was wingworm. I got alopecia when I was 23 years old. So moved to San Diego, California, was eating a bunch of carne asada burritos every day, all the time, all the California burritos. And then my hair started to fall out. Literally, that's what it was.
And it got bad fast though. His was much worse than mine. We also at the time we were working in tech at the same company, so we are in the same office together. And he came into the office, and I noticed that he had this patch in the back of his head, and I was like, okay, maybe his barber clipped him because I've never seen Jeremy with a patch in his head. And then I saw it just growing every single day in the office. I was like, wait, it got a little bigger, got a little bigger. Then before I knew it, the entire back half of his head had a huge patch. And at that time, we can go into this a little further into the interview, but at that time, we decided that there has to be a change.
I would imagine so. I mean, y'all are far too young to be having to deal with that kind of hair loss. I mean, but I got to go back to the first grade. I mean, you said like high school, you were really self conscious about pulling the hood up over your head, but still, like kids can be cruel beginning in elementary school, man.
Yeah,
How did you try to hide it then? Were your friends kind of supportive of you? What was that experience like when you were super young?
yeah. I guess the best thing about it when I was young is it wasn't as bad. But it was still in the back of my head. I had like a patch about the size of a quarter, and it was a perfect circle too. So a lot of kids would just point it out, or they'd be like, "Hey, what's going on in the back of your head?" Or like some kids will put their thumb on it just to like see how big it was and just play around. Um,
It was like the perfect shape of a quarter, I would say.
yeah, yeah. People will come up to me and put quarters on the back of my head.
It's brutal, man. With the thumb, like they're trying to unlock it like it's an iPhone or
Right,
something, right?
yo, totally, totally. So it was definitely challenging. I would definitely say it got far more challenging in high school, just because it started to grow, it started to get bigger, and
And then the one thing he's leaving out is in college, at his college
oh
graduation,
wow,
this is where it really impacted me, where he wouldn't toss his cap off his head with all of the other class, everyone else that were graduating. They're all tossing their hats in there, celebrating, and he's holding his on
that
his
was the
head.
only one in the crowd with my cap on my head, and it was because the night before, I I'm sorry, the day before I got my hair cut, everything was fine. I woke up the day of my graduation. I had a huge patch right here, big patch, just out of nowhere. Day of graduation, families coming in, so many people there. Of course, you got to walk across the stage and everything. And I was like, this is the worst timing for a huge patch to come in. So that was definitely a scarring moment where everyone's like, wait, why do you still have your cap on your head? And I'm like, none of your business.
But but like it happens that fast, pretty much overnight. You just had this
Overnight.
huge patch.
Overnight. It usually happens every way. Oh, sorry, every time that way where I'll wake up in the morning, I'll see like some hair on my pillow or something. I'm like, wait, what happened? What's going on? And then day by day, it usually gets a little worse for what do you say, about a week or so, it kind of gets worse, um and then it kind of just stays stagnant for a while, but his got progressively worse.
Yeah.
Fast.
So yeah, let me ask you this, Jeremy. So when you had yours like progressing pretty rapidly, I mean, what were you thinking at this point? Like, oh my God, I got what Jordan had, and it's finally come for me, or did you think like this was something completely separate?
I thought it was something completely separate. I never thought that I could have alopecia. I was like, oh, like this, it's just some rare thing that came upon to Jordan. I thought my wife at the time, she was my girlfriend. She pointed out at the back of my head. She's like, hey, I think your barber got you in the back of your hair. The barber clipped you. And I was like, no, I trust my barber, love my barber. He would never do that to me. But comes to find out, it was alopecia. It wasn't my barber. It was just my hair falling out. And at that time, I was just thinking, what am I going to do to cover this up? Honestly, it just came down to that. How can I hide this? How can I cover this up? And what type of haircuts can I get to kind of blend this in? So that was my immediate thoughts. And then I was thinking, like, man, I hope that my girlfriend doesn't leave me because I got alopecia or, a bald spot in my head. But and then I was like, I got to get to the dermatologist. So that was the next thing, was like, go to the dermatologist, do whatever you can do. And that was my next step on the
And
journey.
at this time, we're working in corporate America in San Diego, downtown at a tech company. And Jeremy's coming in to work every single day into an office with hats on, with scarves on, whatever it may be, to cover up the patch in the back of his head. And this is an office where no one wore hats to the office.
Yeah.
It was still San Diego, so you occasionally catch people in board shorts or something, but no one wore hats in the office. And he had a hat on every single day, and everyone in the office is wondering, like, yo, why does Jeremy have on a hat? How come Jeremy gets these special exceptions and rules?
Got a
But
lot of that.
yeah, but he didn't want to announce to everyone, like, hey, I have this autoimmune disease and my hair is falling out. So that was definitely a battle. Oh, and then one other point that I wanted to hit on was, I think that they just need to have a better understanding of what alopecia is. and what causes it and how to prevent it, reverse it, all of that nature. Because the first thing you hear from every single barber is, oh, stop stressing. I cannot tell you how many times we heard, twin, why are you stressing? Twin, stop stressing. I'm like, I'm moving to San Diego in 5 days. I'm not stressing at all. Like, I'm so happy with life. There's like no stress in my body. I know they talk about good stress and bad stress. However, at this point, it wasn't bad stress. I was so happy. And I was like, and at that point, I was like, this is not stress related. There's no way this is stress related. So yeah, I think our barbers just need to learn more about
More
this topic
education
as well.
around it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you guys were talking about like how am I going to get my haircut to blend this in? I'm not even sure how you would be able to do that, seeing as though it's kind of like a moving target and it gets a little bit worse
Yeah.
and gets but like how do you even blend something that's constantly changing?
Yeah, I was basically just asking my barber to become a magician, essentially, just like just blend this in a certain way, hide it for me. But as Jordan was saying, like the hats and the headbands, they helped me a lot in those situations because there were times I couldn't get to the barbershop before certain situations and so forth. But I still do wear a hat. I got a full head of hair. Everything is good, just so you know. But I still do rock the hat
Well, I
at
mean,
times.
it's got a nice message on top, man. So keep that lid on.
Yes, yes.
Did y'all ever think about just, throwing up your hands and saying, "Screw it, I'm just gonna go bald here. Let me shave it all."
He definitely did.
For sure. I was like, let me just shave it all off. I had a feeling that I could rock a ball look. I still think I can. However, Jordan, he was my accountability partner through it all. He was like, we're not giving up. We're not gonna just, let your hair fall out because he had reverse alopecia. So he was like, let me lead you down the path and show you how to do it. So he pointed me toward a plant-based lifestyle, a plant-based diet. And I was like, you got to be crazy if you think I'm about to give up fried chicken and burgers and so forth and all the soul food because that's just what I grew up eating. So I was like, this is what I know. You think I'm going to switch my diet to see if some miracle is going to work for hair? But it worked for him. So I was like, let's give it a try. Let's see.
Yeah, man, let's talk about that. How in the world did you even like begin to put two and two together there that maybe some of this could be driven by the diet that you're eating? When did that first pop on your radar?
It started with an ex-girlfriend actually. She was like, "Hey, um, you should probably look into plant-based eating for many reasons as far as reversing disease." And I was like, okay. And at this time we had moved to San Diego and there was this huge trend happening where a bunch of people were switching over to plant-based eating in San Diego. So we were pretty informed about it, but we weren't interested in it. And then when she brought it to my attention, I was like, okay, you're like the third person to bring this to my attention. Maybe I do need to look into this. So then I went home and I watched What the Health by myself. And I was like, holy crap, like maybe it is the meat, maybe it is the dairy. So then that day I immediately went cold turkey. I didn't cut out fish and then cut out chicken and cut out beef. No, I cut out all meat, all dairy immediately that day. And I just started, I didn't know how to do it. I was just eating salads and smoothies. I was losing a ton of weight because I didn't know what I was doing. And however, in some cases, I guess losing weight is good. But I was dropping a lot of dead weight. However, I wasn't doing it properly as far as like getting enough calories. But I mean, it helped tremendously. Within 2 weeks, all of my hair grew back. Within 2 days, I immediately started seeing hair follicles grow back that I hadn't seen in years at that point. So it was crazy just how quickly it worked. And at that point, I was like, wow, this really works. And 2 weeks later, all of my hair grew back. And at that point, I was just on fire to tell people about this. And then,
Yeah, for me, it was more of like a 2 to 3 month process because I didn't go cold turkey plant based. I transitioned. I was more like on the pescatarian side. Then I kicked fish to the side, and I was introduced to Beyond Meat and Impossible Burgers at that time. Jordan showed me those, and I was like, oh, okay, like I can try these, and it'll be a good transitional food over to eating more whole food plant based. So I dabbled with those products, and then all of a sudden I was eating kale, Swiss chard, spinach, smoothies, acai berries, all this great stuff that was grown right here in San
And
Diego.
foods that we definitely didn't eat growing up. We occasionally ate like collard greens for like our soul food dinners that my grandma would make and my mom would make, but definitely we didn't eat nutritionally dense foods growing up.
To Jordan's point, we grew up in a food desert community, so we didn't have access to, like, the closest grocery store to us was about 3 miles away. So to get access to fresh produce, it was hard unless you were growing it yourself. And we didn't have farmers markets in the hood that we grew up in and stuff like that. So coming out here to San Diego, it kind of woke us up to this new wellness lifestyle.
100%.
Outside of the California burritos and the carne asada burritos that we were smashing on, there's a whole other lifestyle that's taking place here. And again, it helped us grow our hair back, and we stand by it, and we want to keep kicking this information.
Dude, that's wild. And I hope that people who are listening to this right now pick up on that. Every once in a while, we get the opportunity just to slide in those real life examples of what it's like to live in those food deserts. I will admit, I've never lived in one, but from everything I've been told, it sounds like it sucks. And you see the numbers in terms of the health challenges that are faced by people who live in these food deserts, and they are
Outrageous.
staggering, man. It is outrageous.
It's outrageous. There's no resources. I mean, when we will walk to the corner of our street to where all of the food places, where there's a liquor store, there's a deli with now and laters and Mike and Ike's and honey buns and ho-hos and Doritos, and then there was a restaurant. It was called Big Bites at the time, and it was burgers. In Cleveland, we have these like beef hot dogs. No beef though, like these beef hot dogs.
Love
and
Polish boys. We call them
Polish boys. Yeah, and you load them up with French fries and coleslaw and barbecue sauce, and we would eat this stuff every day. My mom would leave money on the table. We would get home from school. We would let ourselves into the home, run upstairs, get our money from the table, and immediately go to the store and just load up. I think she gave us $5 a piece or something.
Yeah,
at
we
that
get
time,
like 25
$5
cents.
went a lot further. So we're eating honey buns, ho-hos, now and laters, 50-cent juices with straight sugar in it.
And a lot of this
burgers.
stuff costs like a quarter. So imagine how much stuff we loaded up.
Oh, dude, you got a haul.
Every day.
A haul.
Every single day. This is how we
But also everyone in our community did it as well. So it wasn't like it was something that was foreign to us. We learned it. I don't necessarily agree with this statement all the time, but we were somewhat products of our environment.
Totally.
But now we're shifting that, we're changing that perspective, of course.
All right. So I want to go back to something you said about a minute ago when you were describing the hot dogs and the toppings. Did I hear you right that you guys would put the French fries on top of the hot dog?
On the hot dog. It's called a Polish boy. It's a Cleveland thing. I think it's something that the Polish people brought to Cleveland. I don't know. But they make beef hot dogs. They put French fries and coleslaw and like barbecue sauce, like a spicy barbecue sauce on top of it. And that was like the thing in our neighborhood, the thing in Cleveland. Corned beef sandwiches, again, more beef, all of no beef, get rid of it. So much corned beef, so many beef hot dogs, and just bad food. And Mike and Ike's, so many bags of Mike and Ike's and lemonades and yes, honey buns, ho-hos, Twinkies. Oh my gosh, just processed foods.
It's ridiculous, man. That reminds me of the Quickie Mart that was behind Old Dominion University. I grew up in Norfolk, Virginia, and like right back there on Powhatan Avenue, right behind the field house where they played their basketball, there used to be something called the Tiny Giant. And in there was nothing. I mean, it was a junk food freaking bonanza in there, and they had everything you guys are talking about. Sans the hot dogs with the French fries on top, although I'm sure you could have cobbled that together yourself if you wanted to. But yeah, man, I mean, like it was legit junk food paradise, like unbelievable.
Bananas.
Yeah.
Were there
that sounds like America though, right? Just
100% USA, my friend. Dude.
I'm curious to know more about like the foods that you grew up eating. Was it similar, or were your parents more health conscious?
So I did not come from a lot of money whatsoever. I mean, I grew up in a house where utilities were routinely being, turned off.
Wow.
Mom was a single mom, and then I'd go after school with my brother, and we would go to grandma's house, who that was our dad's mom, and she too was on a very limited income, so her utilities were often being turned off, and so the food choices that we
Wow.
had, even though we did not technically live in a food desert, they were limited. I mean, it was a lot of
Totally.
macaroni and cheese from the blue box,
Yep.
cans of baked beans with the little fatty chunks of pork in there.
A
Um,
100%.
and I remember like sometimes like this is so fat kid of me. I used to get the potato chip and I used to like scoop out the baked beans with it like it was a dip. Dude, I used to eat that and I thought that that was amazing. And that's what I ate with my hot
All
dog.
did.
Yeah.
All right. You just
Wow.
had your fries in another form, your potatoes in another form.
That's it, man. And
That's a Polish boy though.
that's the Southern Virginia Polish boy right there. Um
Right, right. Super interesting though.
Yeah, man. So yeah, and it was that, and then, getting a little bit older, getting hooked on the drive-through, and then that evolved to, I mean, y'all mentioned like the killer burritos out there, but I was a Taco Bell junkie back here, and man, I mean, it just grew and grew and grew. My appetite for that stuff was just limitless, y'all, limitless. I mean, like if your mom
Wow.
gave you $10 instead of five, you think you could have polished off $10 worth of all of that junk food?
Oh my God.
Easily.
We would have ran
Uh,
town for
easily.
sure.
And I think your example goes to show you that a food desert doesn't necessarily mean like the hood. A food desert is just an area that lacks nutritional resources.
I mean, you could have a. I feel like you can be in a food desert mentally as well, just
Totally.
in regards to education. And it's not necessarily about the access that you have. You can, I mean, technically, all of us can go grow food in a shoebox or grow food in our backyard, but sometimes it's just
That's a good
the
point.
effort and the know-how and the information to do so.
Yeah, but I never told this story though on the show. I'm gonna throw my mom under the bus, so let me preface by saying I love you, mom. Every once in a while, she would get this wild hair to try to be a little bit more health conscious. And this one time, and this is 30 some odd years ago at this point, because my brother and I, we were really young. I mean, maybe like 10 and 12 at that age. And mom comes home and she starts telling us about this drink that she had learned about called kombucha. And now you can go into any grocery store in America and find kombucha. It's probably in 7-Elevens now. But mom decided she
Hey,
was going to try to make her own. And she got this big old glass jar. I mean, like a 5-gallon glass jar. And she sat it on top of the fridge waiting for this thing to ferment. But y'all, I'm telling you straight up, like it was. Gregor sent me his new book already. The layer of mold on top of the kombucha jug was like this thick. And she's all like, I'm
bruh.
going to scoop this out and we can drink it. And I was like, you can scoop that out and you can drink it, but I would live to
Right?
see tomorrow. Thank you. Like, I love my mom, but that was just nasty.
Yo, that is hilarious. She was like persistent on getting that done, huh? Committed to it.
I mean, she did. I don't like, I don't even remember how that worked out. I probably have blacked it out from my memory because it was probably so traumatizing what happened. That was
Right,
probably
right, right.
like maybe the only time I've ever seen my mom drunk because she let that ferment for too long.
Right?
I don't know. But
That
man,
fermentation got to her. So, do
dude,
you do you
for real.
drink kombucha today?
I will every once in a while for sure. I got a couple out in the fridge. Like there's a couple brands out there that I like. Not too terribly bad. But I mean, I'm such a coffee guy though, man. Are y'all a kombucha crew?
I get down with kombucha sometimes. It's definitely not like a preference, or I don't seek it out, but I'll have it at like a vegan event, or like if there's like
Yeah.
a fair to go try some different foods. If they're handing out samples of kombucha, I'll get some kombucha
Yeah,
for sure.
if y'all can find one ever that's on draft, like they're gonna pour it like it's a beer or
Mm.
something, like I have found that those actually taste the best. And sometimes if you go to like a vegan street fair, they've got those and it's so good, man. It's so good.
Yeah. There's
But
a few places in San Diego where they make it here and you can get it on draft. I've seen it years ago. It's been a minute, but we'll find it though.
It's good for the gut.
it is
Everybody out there
that. It
listening.
is that. My buddy Dr. Will Bolsowitz will tell you that. But I will tell you this: if Mama Carroll offers you kombucha, just say no. Just say no. Love my
Stay
mom,
clear.
but just say no.
How much mo was in this one?
I mean, my God, for real. I mean, yo, it was this thick, man. Um,
Wow.
but hold on, let's get back to you guys. So, what was the reaction from your family members when You said, well, look, obviously our hair is starting to grow back. Things are falling into place now. But we're doing it by eating this plant-based diet. Was the V word, the vegan word, I mean, was that super taboo in your house?
They were like, "What? Vegan? What do you mean vegan? Like you telling me you don't eat chicken anymore, but you can still eat fish, right? You still eat fish, right?" And I'm
Right.
like, no, like completely plant-based vegan. We're cutting it all out. They're like, wait, so what you gonna eat? Where you gonna get your protein? All those type of things.
You just gonna eat carrots? You just gonna eat celery? So you eat your rabbit food? Everyone, your rabbit food? Like, what do you mean? And the idea of vegan food still blows my mind. It's just food, right? It's just food that's not animal based.
That's
Yeah.
it.
So
That's it.
right, it's that simple. So yeah, we delivered that information to them. I would say the first two people that come to my mind is my mom and my grandmother. My mom, she's a bit more knowledgeable on the topic, so she was like, okay, I got to figure out some new recipes to make for you guys. I'll still have the salmon or the fish, and so she was a bit confused on it. Then we're like, okay, no fish. Talk to her about that. But my grandmother, she loves cooking for us. She loves when we come back home to Cleveland, she can make us a soul food dish. So when we told her that when we come back home, we can only eat vegan food, she lost her mind. She's like, okay, like what am I gonna make for you guys? I guess we just got some collard greens and that's about it. And even with her collard greens, she still puts pork in the collard greens as well. So it's yeah. So
That's
we go.
problematic.
That's problematic. It's problematic.
Very.
We might get a little asparagus off the stove when we go home, but but other than that.
Do y'all get a chance though to cook for them though? Because I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
now you guys know what perhaps they don't, and that's it doesn't have to be so limiting. You can still have some gourmet deliciousness with this plant-based diet.
We went home for Thanksgiving, maybe like 4 years ago at this point, and made a bomb macaroni and plant-based cheese. I think we just used like nutritional yeast and some other stuff. We also made a plant-based meatloaf,
Fire.
which was lentil based, and some other stuff. But my family absolutely loved it. Like they went crazy. They were eating our macaroni and cheese more than the actual real macaroni and cheese that was there, and also more than the other meats that was there. So there has been times, and then we did a barbecue as well, where we just made a bunch of burgers. It was straight like cookout style in our backyard. I had our whole family over, and we got a bunch of video reactions and content of
It
them
was
actually
fun.
trying the food, playing games, cornhole, and things like that, like a straight plant-based cookout. And they loved the food. We did macaroni and cheese. We made pizzas from Trader Joe's. We did burgers and brats, and no, they loved it.
What really got them was the cauliflower wings. That was
Yes,
one that people were
buffalo
shocked
cauliflower wings. They
because
were crazy.
our family loves chicken, any form of chicken wings or fried chicken. So to have something that could taste very similar to it, that was a plant cauliflower. That was mind blowing.
We got to show them the oyster mushrooms now.
Yeah, the oyster mushroom.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother one.
Those things are magical. I got introduced to those a couple of years ago. I was like, legit, this is a mushroom? What's happening right now?
It's bomb. They are so amazing, man.
So many different ways you can use them as well. It reminds me of jackfruit in the sense of how many different ways you can use the oyster mushroom. Same with lion's mane mushroom. Got hooked on those as well. So
yeah,
man. But isn't it cool though that like y'all can have that full blown cookout, right? With the burgers and then the pizza and just like have a grand old time with all the food that you grew up eating, just plant-based versions of it, right? And so once people understand that that stuff is available to them, it makes it a whole lot easier for them to swallow the vegan pill. It takes away the stigma.
100%. I think you're spot on. I think that's like one of the top priorities of our mission is to get people to see the food and taste the food. Because if you say, hey, come to this plant-based restaurant or something, they're like, heck no, why do I want to go there? I'm not plant-based. But if they see that the food looks probably better than the food that you're going to eat, and it's guilt-free, and it's not going to cause inflammation and disease, it's not going to cause a bunch of pimples and things like that to flare up on your face and cause gut issues and problems, but also it's going to taste amazing.
Yeah, so much flavor.
I think that's the key.
And like you're saying, going back to the cookouts, the events that we're throwing, the vibes that we set, it gives us the ability to share our story. it gives
Totally.
us, because most of the time people try the food, they like it, and then that's when they actually are kind of hooked, if you will. They have interest to know more about, so why vegan? Why are you guys even doing this? And then we're like, alopecia, let us walk you through our journey. And then we also have this cool brand, All Love No Beef. So it just gives us this platform, but it all starts with the food, and there's so much love in the food. So it's just a circle that's ever, uh, I guess, everlasting, because people, it's food from the garden. You know what I'm saying? It's not like it's this whole new phenomenon to get people wrapped around. It's literally something that everyone has the ability to grow themselves.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about All Love No Beef. I mean, just perhaps the most clever name that I've ever heard. I just love it to
Thank
death,
you.
man. All Love No Beef. That is your brand. Talk to us, man. What's going on there?
Yeah, I can lead us off. We started it back during 2020 and right during the pandemic, and it was all this talk around immunity and things of that nature. And our whole focus was, okay, how do we get the most nutritionally dense foods into our bodies to build our immune system to be strong enough to fight off COVID. And so we are like really strong on that. And we were pushing that message out there, like, hey, build your immune system, make sure it's strong, make sure it's prepared. So we started this whole tagline of we're bringing immunity to the community. And then also during that time, we felt like there was a lot of like racial division in the country as well. And that is something that we definitely don't stand for. So we're like, hey, let's use this platform to try to connect people and bring people together as well through food. So the double entendre of all love, no beef is, hey, like no violence, no beef. Also show love to your brothers and sisters. We look at it like we're all brothers and sisters, regardless of shapes, colors, where you're from, no matter, we're all brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
So it's really showing love there, but also no beef in the streets and no beef on your plate.
Yeah.
So we wanted to, this is, I think, I would say Jeremy had more of a focus on like the no beef in the streets and no beef between people. I think that's very huge for us. However, where my standpoint was strongly on the fact that, hey, there's so much disease going around, and there's so many people that are dealing with disease. Our grandfather has had so many heart attacks and surgeries on his heart and everything. Thank God he's still around. But all of this stuff is reversible and preventable through, in our opinion, whole food, plant-based eating. So we wanted to use All Love No Beef to really bring attention to the category of whole food plant-based eating, but also to try to find a way to make it sexy, if you will, to make it cool, to make it dope, to make it fun, so that people don't think like, hey, I have to be this yoga mom from Portland, Oregon, like a very granola kind of look to it, you know? It's like, hey, there's all different types of people that are plant-based, and that this is a movement that's happening that you want to be a part of, not something that is gonna happen, but no, this is happening today, and that you no longer have to suffer, you no longer have to deal with disease, you no longer have to just deal with the pharmaceutical industry and things of that nature. But pretty much we wanted to get people back to the ground, back to the garden.
Yeah. And to piggyback off of what Jordan was saying, the double entendre, all love, no beef. Again, no beef in the streets, no violence. And we believe that the nutrition plays a huge factor in people's mental health, in the choices and
Totally.
the decisions that they make. So if you're going to choose love, it should be stemming from your gut, as far as the food, and the nutrition definitely has a correspondence to the brain to tell you to make the right decision, to tell you to love your neighbor, to tell you to, to not be violent, if you will. So that being said, it's the whole double entendre, and it's just a platform for a community, for people to come together, no matter, as Jordan said, no matter the shape, sizes, whatever it is. It's a love-based community where we have a mission to restore immunity in the community.
Right on, man. So, like, can people get their hands on like that All Love No Beef hat, that T-shirt y'all got? Because
Yeah.
whether they are a crunchy granola loving mom from Portland, Oregon, or they're living somewhere in the inner city, like those shirts and that hat, man, it's fire. People are gonna want to get their hands on it.
Yo, thank you so much, Chuck. Seriously, we definitely work hard on the branding and everything, the apparel side of it. So absolutely, at alllovenobeef.com, we have hats, hoodies, sweatshirts, t-shirts, different types of hats, not even just trucker hats, bucket hats, dad hats, all of it. So, and we will continue to release new products and new capsule collections. We definitely want to partner with different chefs and different organizations in ways to just continue to make the category of plant-based eating and love fun and cool. So
Yeah.
absolutely.
So just to plug that again, it's allloveNoBeef.com. And then you can also go to our Instagram at alllovenobeef, and you can just click the link there and it'll take you right to the website.
Now, gentlemen, you know I'm going to make that easy. Like, all of that is right down below
No,
in
don't
the
do that.
episode notes, in the show description. You know the drill. Like, it's a one-stop shop, my man.
You make it easy for us.
So what does the future hold for you guys? Like, where do you want to take this thing?
Yeah, I think many different directions. One thing that we definitely want to get into, that we're getting into and have done, is the event space. Really, is bringing people together. We like to think of it as like I know everyone has seen or heard about like the Fire Festival, but we want to make like the Fire Festival but real, and we want to bring a bunch of awesome people together, not just elite influencers and things like that and models, but all different types of people that has a passion for health and wellness. And even if you don't have a passion for health and wellness, you can still join us, because hopefully you'll leave with a passion for health and wellness. But we want to bring a bunch of different people together for entertainment, for music, for the arts, and also for health and wellness. And really try to put that on as like a yearly event, or it could be several times a year, and actually do it and tour it around the world.
Yeah, so just meeting people where they are, as Jordan is saying, doing events, whatever that looks like, whether it's online or in person. So we're doing events, but we've also, I'm certified in plant-based nutrition as well. So we do have plant-based starter guides, and we are creating nutrition books and so forth. So all of that stuff is in the works as well. So that is the future for us at All Love No Beef. And also we're working on a few different media concepts, pitching some TV shows, so you may see us on a TV screen as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Working on it. We're stirring up a nice TV show right now with the goal of getting it on a streamer provider near you here soon, either a Netflix, a Hulu, a Roku, or something. So that's in the works, and we should be releasing it soon.
I'm gonna keep my eye on y'all. Y'all are gonna be some big timers, man. That's for sure. You'd be like, I'll send you an email here in a couple years to be like, Chuck who? No.
Sorry. Not at all.
That's my brother Chuck. Let's go.
And I have to say this, Chuck, but just before we end, if we are in this soon, that you have been just a very instrumental part in our journey. Just the education that you provide, the entertainment that you provide, hearing your testimony. Honestly, you are one of the key factors as to why we even started All Love No Beef. And I know you didn't know that, but I just want you to know that you have so much so much stake in All Love No Beef, because you
stake.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, man. Like, it's
All Love No Beef.
It's so cool that, like, a guy like me can, relate with, or you guys can relate to a guy like me, and there's parts of your stories that I relate with very much as well. And it's cool. You were talking about bridging that divide. Like, I feel that during this interview, man. So thank you so much for sharing that. That's amazing.
Of course. No, absolutely. Thank you for everything. You and you'll continue to give us the knowledge and everything to continue to educate our community as well.
I'll give you, man, whatever you guys need. Don't ever hesitate to reach out, man. I got you. I love the name. I love the story. I love the drive. I love the passion. And I just see nothing but the biggest and brightest future for you guys.
Thank you, Chuck. And again, check your mailbox. You're going to have some apparel coming your way. All right.
All right. And then you'd be checking your Instagram, because I'm going to tag you on that one too.
Hey, let's go.
All right, guys. Appreciate your time. All love, no beef.
All love, no beef. Forever, ever. Thank you, Chuck, so much.